Welcome to On the Edge with April Mahoney Brains. You've hit the spot. The place where the conversation is pointed, the guests are sharp, and the responses are never dull. Put your thinking caps on, because the conversation starts now.
Awesome.
That's what I say. Welcome to On the Edge with April Mahoney Brains. You're back at your favorite spot, the best podcast on the planet, right here. The place where the conversation is pointed and the guests are sharp and the responses, they're never dull. We're going to talk about holistic health, wellness, the release of an upcoming book, those little bottles full of stuff that Yvonne Cote has, and what do they mean? I'm really excited to talk to her. We've been waiting for a minute, and I'm gonna ask her some really deep questions about this big $25 word, holistic. Really, what does that mean? We're gonna do the deep dive. So let's welcome her to the show. How you doing, Yvonne?
I'm doing amazing, and thank you for having me here.
My pleasure. Mi casa es su casa.
Thank you.
So tell us how you show up in the world.
Well, if you would have asked me that over 20 years ago, I would have told you a different story. But how I show up in the world now, I consider myself a light worker. I had a complete, what I call a life experience change. It was through a near-death experience. So I feel like I completely changed my life. I went from being in the business world for over 20 years as a director of human resources, a very high paying job in very, that corporate structure world, to completely doing something different now and being in this world of holistics. And that was because following that near-death incident, that put me on a path to show me that I actually hadn't been following my true life's purpose all those years.
Pull back the layers of that onion on you, huh?
I sure did. Yeah.
Well, you know what? I had a near-death experience, but Brains, I'm not going to tell y'all everything. I'll tell you, Yvonne, offline. But it is from another scene. And, you're in that moment. So I can say for myself, and you could probably say for yourself, when it comes to the transition, I'm not going to try to punch my card any earlier than I can, but I don't fear it.
No.
It's going to be smooth. It's going to be beautiful. If we are living in the present.
Correct.
And so, holistic, people go, well, some people, put it in a container and say, this is just health. Mm-hmm. Other people say it's diet. Other people say it's mindset. Other people say it's, futuristic. Other people say it's hoo-hoo. Is it a combination of all of it? Because that's all right.
Mm-hmm. For me, holistic, how I take holistic was, when you're on that path and you have things that were happening to me in my life, I had severe panic and anxiety. I had a lot of things going on. Where the word holistic came in, because it never was a word for me. I didn't even really know what it was, because I spent my days in collective agreements. I spent my days working on, hiring people and best hiring practices. And when this word came up, I was like, well, what is this holistic? And how it became so important for me and my journey was because when what I call like the modern Western medicine couldn't help me anymore, where they said, Yvonne, like there's nothing else we can do for you. You're fine. But I wasn't. That's when I took a turn and I started, actually, it was, how can I say this? The universe put something in front of me, right? At that time. And it was through a random turning on the TV and seeing this person talk about something. But I always believed that she was there for a reason. They always say when the student's ready, the teacher will appear. Anytime. And she's the one who got me onto holistic and the word holistic. And can we try some other things that maybe you haven't tried?
So wait, so this person was on the television?
Correct.
I get it. Yes. You never know where your downloads are going to come from, Brains. You have no idea.
Exactly.
You have no. It was funny that you mentioned something like that, because my husband opened a fortune cookie the other day. He had 3 fortunes in it.
Oh,
all were a synchronicity. I've never seen Confucius roll like that. I mean, 3. So again, you have to pay attention to those signs. So as you started to go through this word holistic, what was like the first thing that you examined? Was it just really your intentions? Were you trying to find out who you are? Was it a spiritual quest? Because sometimes people, go on a spiritual journey or a religious journey, to seek out what
Mhm.
they haven't before, meditation, ayahuasca, all
Right. Yeah.
kind of stuff. But just tell me, what was kind of your progression? So you saw this woman on television, and then what happened?
Well, what happened next was what she said on TV, April, was kind of one of those, I didn't know what to do with it because I watched it. Like I had that moment of, oh my gosh, whatever's happening to her, I got that.
Hmm.
I was so paralyzed with panic and anxiety to the point I couldn't leave my house.
Wow.
It became that bad. The minute I tried going outside, I literally, my hands would shake, my jaw would clench. I would just be like this person. And I didn't understand why. The
Okay.
doctors couldn't help me. They said, you're fine.
Dial back though. Was this before the near death experience or after?
Immediately after.
So you got paranoid immediately after.
Immediately after. Yes.
Okay. Can you tell us just a bite-sized piece of what caused the near death?
Sure. I experienced a very traumatic head injury. And what happened was um I I mean, I was unconscious for a long time. There was a lot, there's bits and pieces of I will never probably get back. But when I finally came back and was awake and conscious, my doctors had said to me, like, Yvonne, you're really lucky. I had no brain swell, no brain bleed. I had nothing. I didn't get black eyes. I was able to walk out of the hospital that day. And they told me I shouldn't have. They said, you shouldn't even be here. And so I went home and I was fine. Like I did. I went home, I was with my family, went to my house. They said, I want you to take a week off because your job is just too intense. Like you need to relax your head. And I did. But when I went to go back to work, when I went to go back out into the world again, I couldn't do it. That's when everything started to shift.
Hmm.
Like I felt like I was going to a job interview. Like I was kind of like nervous. And it
Okay.
just kept getting worse and worse and worse and worse.
All
And
right.
anytime somebody came in and around me, like when someone came to my door at my office, like I was a director of human resources, so I had my own private office. As soon as somebody came in, like I felt like I was going to jump out of my skin, and I didn't understand why. I did this job for years. I worked with people all the time,
Were you,
right?
and I ask these questions because people want to know, were you on medication? You had to come home with some sort of medication. After you
No,
had your head, and went into this like unconscious state for a while, they didn't give you anything? No
no,
Tylenol, nothing?
nothing.
I'm just joking. Wow.
Nothing, absolutely nothing. And I was fine. Because that was one of the things they asked, does your head hurt? Like when I woke up in the hospital, I didn't know what was the matter with me. And when the nurse was asking me, does your head hurt? I kind of thought, why? Like, no. And where am I? So I
Really?
had no idea what was even happening to me. I went home, I was fine. And that was probably because I was in my own home with my family. But as soon as I went around to anybody who wasn't my family,
Mm.
I just couldn't be around them anymore.
Okay, now let
And
me ask you another question. Let's dial
sure,
back a little bit more. What
yeah,
happened when you were in that portal? What did you learn? What did you see? What did you feel? What did you taste? You know, what was it that made you come out on the other side?
that's the interesting part. I don't know. I don't recollect anything.
Okay.
The only thing that stands out for me is the color green. It's weird. I don't know. It was just this green, everything was green. And um, yeah, like there's
Lush. That's my
no,
favorite color too. Green and lush and full of prosperity. Well, that's
yeah.
a great segue. Tell me about the bottles. To
Oh,
the, I
my
guess that
little
would be to the right of you.
my little bottles.
Yes,
Okay,
tell me
so
about that.
so this is after everything was going on, color was one of the things. As a child, I should start off with this. I could see colors around people,
Aura.
auras, but I
Okay.
didn't know that because I was born in the very end of the 60s. They didn't have internet, they didn't have, right? So I didn't know. And when I would bring it up to people, people would look at me and say, I don't know what you're talking about. Like, I don't understand what you're saying about this color. So I started to be really quiet about that. I was brought up Roman Catholic. My parents didn't really want to talk about a lot. So colors was always a big thing for me. I loved colors. And it wasn't until my near-death experience that I started to understand aura and energy and all these really cool words. So what happened was, again, person came across my path. Now, this is not something I've created. This is called color mirror system. And
Mm,
it's something that was created in South Africa
mhm.
by Melissa Jolie. And this system, we work with these bottles. Each bottle, I don't know if you can see this or not, there's
Okay, hold on
numbers.
1 second. Let me.
They have numbers on the top of them
Right. Yeah, I
and
had one of my
colors.
guests. I got to go back and find her interview too, because she did mine for me. Ooh, that's
Yes.
been years ago. So that's brings us got staying power, okay? Because I know that was at least 3 or 4 years ago for me. Okay, so tell us a little bit about that again.
So what happens is we use your energy of your name and your date of birth, because everybody has their own energetic code, right?
Right.
And what she did was she created the system using the colors that match to the vibration and frequency, to numbers, to colors. And then what we do is when we put your name in and we figure out your life path numbers and numbers, we use that to calculate your colors. And these colors, each bottle has a very long description of what it is, what it means. It talks about past lives. It goes into a lot of things. So it gives you a really good glimpse at, because I'll tell you this, most people, when they come and they work with me, they feel like, I'm lost, Yvonne. I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing. And a lot of
Mhm.
times we'll do one of these readings, a color mirror reading, and we'll say to them, like, you're a life path 7. Here's things. And they're like, I always wanted to do that, but I didn't do it. So it gives you a
Mhm.
really good idea and really delves into those, what is your energetic code? What were you born with? What vibration? Because we all have one, and it's all unique, right?
Does
Mine's,
do you work with your clients currently and you use that system with them as well?
that's correct. Yes.
Okay, so continue with the holistic approach. I come in for a consultation.
Hmm.
I sit down, I smell some beautiful incense burning. I'm feeling very comfortable, very relaxed. You got some tranquil music. What am I to expect when I work with you? Well, I mean, everybody's different. I get that. But just what is like your intake and what do we do?
Right. So just so you know, all mine are over Zoom right now.
Okay.
This happened since prior to COVID, and I've kept going that way. And that's mainly because I'm now able to
It's
tap
safe.
into people all over the world, right?
But it's safe. I get it.
It
I
is
get
safe.
it. That's
It is
great.
safe. But I love how I have clients like in Australia, because I'm in Canada. So I
Okay.
have clients all over the place, and I love it. I can reach people I never used to be able to reach before.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So they may not hear the or see the or smell the the candles and all that, but we try to set a
But
space.
they can imagine,
Oh
I
yes.
mean, when I look in your background, I see a very earthy vibe. I see angels, I see colors, I see light. I feel relaxed already. So I
Hmm.
can burn my own incense and have a cup of tea.
Yes.
But, the thing of it is the connectivity.
Yes.
That's the synchronicity between you and the other person. Brains, everybody's not going to be your person. Newsflash. Okay. Um, but when you're working with someone, or another thing is they're not ready for it.
Hmm.
Yvonne, they show up to
Hmm.
show out. They
Hmm.
don't do the work.
That's right. Sometimes that's true.
That
Hmm.
and you have to be ready for that. So
Yes.
you have to work with a trained professional, someone that has dedicated her life to this, that has transitioned over and has gaping holes in her life, but she wants to fill it with a purpose.
Hmm.
Pay attention to that, brains. That's very important. Now, I heard that you are a contributor to an anthology. Tell me a little bit about that, and what was your contribution?
Right. So this again, these amazing things, intuitive nudges, intuitive. I I wanted to write my own book. At the end of last year, I said to the universe, you know what? I really want to start a book, write a book. Well, it didn't quite go that way, and I probably understand the reason why now. There's so much work that goes into it. So what happened was I got invited to be part of this anthology, this book. It's called Learning Through Pain, and they found me, my website, found what I do, read some reviews from people, and they said, we really want to know a little bit more about your story. And I love that, because I think storytelling is how we communicate in the world now. And when you tell that and somebody resonates with it, 9 times out of 10, that's what happens to me. I'll
Right,
start
right.
telling about my story and they're like, oh my gosh, Okay, and that's how I got started. That was that TV, turning it on, and that's resonating with somebody else. So, I was really excited to be part of this. Like I said, the book title is called Learning Through Pain. And my journey wasn't so much about the physical pain, but all the emotional, like there's so many different levels of pain and layers that people have. And that was the one thing that they really liked, is that everybody was bringing their own piece and their own dynamic to it. So mine speaks to my journey, how painful it was for me to be socially isolated. This was prior to COVID that I had my near death, but you don't know how lonely it is when you can't get out in the world and you can't talk to
Mhm.
people and you can't be around people, right?
So
And
what
so,
what cracked it open for you, Yvonne? I mean, what made you just something happened?
in terms of,
Just how did you break free? I mean, like now I know that you're, working in a confined space, but are you okay now? Do you feel comfortable going out? Do you
oh,
still
totally.
panic
Yes.
attacks?
Yes. So that goes back to my the person that was on the television. She actually became my first mentor. I
Mm,
actually reached out to her, and
wow.
she taught me about energy. And what she taught me was my near death experience was she called it my reset button. And she said, what happened to you? She's a psychic medium. She's here in Canada where I live. And she said, your reset button got hit. You were not following your path.
Mm,
And you want to know what happened was I was in human resources, but I was working in pulp and paper industries that kept shutting down, shutting down, shutting down. And she showed me, here's how the universe kept trying to say to you, you're not going the right way. You're staying on this repeat hamster wheel of pattern.
mm,
You need to break that pattern. And then when she taught me what was happening to me, it was energy. And here's the funny thing, where my office was, the building right next to me was a funeral home.
mm.
And why, when I was in my office and I started having all these panic attacks and anxiety, which was she explained to me, she said, you're a medium, you're connecting in the energy, you're open, but you don't know how to protect it and shut it down and keep it to us. So you're feeling everything from every single person
Yeah,
around you.
you're an empath on steroids, right?
Exactly. So she taught me how to slowly, and I would never say to the listeners, like it's something that you learn and then tomorrow it's all better. You have to practice. You have to really tap into your own energy and try to hone it in, right? Like, and it's something you have to do every day. It's flexing that intuitive muscle and saying, okay, right? So that's what I ended up doing, to the point now where I can go back out. I can be around people. I know
Well,
how to
and
keep
I'm
my,
sure that that was a challenge on, I'm just assuming on your relationship with
oh,
with your man and your kids, because
yeah,
it's like, we want to go get pizza and a movie, and you like,
no,
you know,
no,
and
no.
it was difficult.
It
So you
was
have
very,
to commend them for having the patience and the tolerance, because sometimes people don't have that,
that's right.
Yvonne. They run because they're scared.
Yes.
And that's that's a very real emotion. You
Hmm.
can't get super angry with somebody because of that.
No.
But again, I'm glad that they didn't reset your life to that point. You still have people to work with you. So
Right.
now, let me ask you some fun questions. I like to ask these fun questions. Fun, 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 fun. If you were a color, what color would you be?
Turquoise.
Turquoise.
Hmm.
Why?
I absolutely love turquoise. And once I started working with the color, I mean, I love all colors. Purple is one of my other favorite. My branding colors are not turquoise, as you can tell. But turquoise is a very common color for me. And it also, it's a color that it takes away those conflicts. And it's tied to a very specific archangel that I work with. And it's just the color that brings me back to the present moment. I find too often we can go pitiful past, fearful future. I want to always be in the present, and that's the color that I just love. I love having this bottle around, and it's just the color that keeps me just grounded and where I need to be. It's also the color of the water and the ocean. I just find it very, I
Okay.
don't know. Yeah.
If you were an appliance in the kitchen, what appliance would you be?
Oh, wow. I would be, I would be the oven,
Why?
because the oven usually makes something nice and warm and comforting and delicious, and people typically are really happy with something that comes out of the oven. It's usually something really, yeah, and it fills
I'd
their
be the
soul.
spice grinder.
Would you? I
Yeah,
love that.
I like to, get it spicy.
There you go.
Caliente, make it fuego, make it hot.
There
Absolutely.
you go.
If you could travel anywhere in the world, where would you go?
Italy.
Italy. Have you ever been?
No.
Well, let me tell you, honey, don't waste another minute. I got sponsored by one of the cruise lines. Me and my husband went last year. It seems I can't believe it's been a year, and it is incredible.
Nice.
It's
I
incredible.
want to go. Yes.
All right. Well, that's good. If you were an animal, what animal would you be?
Ooh. I want to say a dog. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're one of my favorites. The animal that I'm most afraid of is a bear. And I find, and we actually have them in our yard, like just if you go, they're just over there.
Oh, wow.
And I live where there's some pretty mean bears, like grizzly bears are quite large and mean. But there's a very special healing power
Are
with
you
wolves
living
and
off
bears.
the grid somewhere?
Have I been off the grid? I
No,
go
I said,
camping
are you?
lots.
No, I said, are you
Oh,
living off the grid with the bears near you?
no, out,
Oh,
no, no,
wow.
no. But we
And
did have a terrible.
Are they coming down from their natural habitat because they're looking for food and all that stuff?
Yes, we just went through a really massive wildfire, and I think it got them out of the hills and down into where we are.
Yeah, that happened to us with the wildfires here in us in California. We have coyotes.
Yes, we have those. Yes.
Yeah, and I tell you, it's a lot. But we have to share the planet. It's not all ours. What are we gonna do?
Yeah.
What would you tell a 25-year-old Yvonne Cote?
25-year-old?
Yeah.
Ooh, that's really interesting. If I was to go back and tell my younger self, I would be um at that age, I really feel like you have a lot of nudges. I feel like there's a lot of things that your inner self wants to tell you, but you don't pay attention at that age. You're more of, I'm just going to go do things. And they kind of have that spice for life, or like nothing's going to happen to me. So, but I would say to them, really go back and really tap into that, because when you miss that critical piece, it's like, what do you want to be when you grow up, when you're at that age? I miss that. Right. I blurped over it because I just was like, no, I got to go do something. And I think if people would spend more time really just giving themselves a minute and tuning in.
Right. Exactly. Being conscious.
Oh,
As the new buzzword is, it's called being woke.
being woke.
You're being woke. You gotta,
Yeah.
Now, what do you want your legacy to be?
My legacy, I want it to be the name of my business. It's called There Is an Angel for That. And I really want to get that message out to people that, no matter what you have going on in your life, and that's why I called it that, there is an angel for that. And if it's angels are not your thing, okay, we'll find, like, maybe it's spirit guide, but you know what I mean? There's something else there too. And no matter what you have going on, if you can't find other ways, there are the holistic approaches to try. And that is what changed my life. It was starting working with angels and got me back onto my path to where I am now.
Well, I am just so impressed with your recovery and just your way with all and your tenacity and your strength to be able to pour this into other individuals. I commend you. It takes a lot of strength, a lot of courage, because you take on people's negative energy too, because you're trying to cleanse that. So as long as you're a clear conduit and that you leave space for yourself and your man and your kids, girl, you keep on doing what you're doing. Tell my brains how to get in contact with you if they want to get on the list, because I know you guys are going to have a big launch party. And if they want to work with you, get their colors done, how do they contact you, Yvonne Cote?
Sure. They can go to my website. So it's www.thereisanangelforthat.com. You can find me on Facebook. I've got There's an Angel for That page if you like just daily messages from your angels. I'm on Instagram. Everything is There Is an Angel for That. So you can find me on almost all the social media outlets. And yeah, my website, email, the same. There's an Angel for That.
Cards?
What's that?
Have you made a set of oracle cards?
I have not.
Oh, I could just see that. That fell on my heart. I got to download and match it up with the colors. I'm sure they would sell out.
Yes. It is on my list.
I was going to say, that's just one more thing to add to the to-do list. Huh?
Yes.
Well, thank you so much. Brains, go in, check it out, get your colors done. I'm telling you, they did it for me. And it was pretty interesting how they put it together and how the water, she went to a specific bottle with that and had a whole definition. You never know what you don't know. So reach out, embrace, be curious, try to live your best life, and come up out of the fog. Thanks so much, Yvonne Cote. We'll talk to you again soon.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right. Bye, brains.